Hello, Bill. I hope you're good here at the Trump Tower for
Having
the
a great
Toronto
time.
Venture Forum.
Thank you, Pierre.
It's always a pleasure to see you. You've been one of the most present in Canada angels from New England, actually, that I know. You're involved in 200 groups, Boston Harbour Angels and Mass Medical Angels.
Yep.
So what are you doing here in Canada?
Well, I think as a Canadian who now lives in the U.S., one of the things that became very clear was that the quality of education and the quality of the technology that's developed in the life sciences and generally in technology in Canada is first rate. Two things that make that technology interesting to American investors and to angels in particular. One is that the companies typically are able to access government programs in Canada which will provide a significant amount of non-dilutive capital to the companies. So you can really leverage angel investments pretty dramatically on the order of anywhere from 30 to 50 to even as much as 100% depending on the stage and type of company. That kind of support doesn't exist in the US typically. And for angels to be successful, we need to have as much capital in these businesses as possible, particularly in these economic times. The second one that's really important is that the quality of the technology coming out of Canadian institutions and how it's supported is pretty extraordinary. But it is not a market that typically people think about. People think about China or India or something like that. But a 5-hour drive north of Boston is Montreal, which is a hub for life science innovation and clinical developments that frequently people just don't simply get around to investing in.
I see. So are you saying that it's more interesting for a US investor to invest in Canada than the US? I'm not sure everyone will agree with that.
Not everyone would agree with that. I think to the extent that Canadian companies are positioned as global competitors rather than competitors within a province or a country, it's probably true. I think you can generate higher returns on exits based on the different kinds of capital structures with Canadian companies. The other piece, though, is that in life science, at least, increasingly because of the issues we're facing with, the issues we're really facing with the FDA in the U.S., we're increasingly looking for our companies to go to Europe, for example, for a first shot at regulatory approval. So the old days of, you have to come to the States because we want you to go through the FDA and we want you to go to the American market have changed. In a lot of cases, we're telling our companies, we want you not in Birmingham, Alabama, but Birmingham, England. So whether they're headquartered in Boston or Ottawa or Montreal or Toronto, it doesn't really matter as much as it used to.
I understand. And are you personally involved in, as an investor in a Canadian company?
Yeah, we're currently doing due diligence as Boston Harbour Angels with two companies, one in Montreal and one in Ottawa. The one in Ottawa is called eSight, and it has created a revolutionary technology that restores vision for the partially blind.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I didn't think it was possible, but it was really, in some ways, a group of technology-oriented folks came out of the experience in communications and managing data packets that thought about an innovative way to create a digital solution to a problem that hasn't been solved by anybody else. And frankly, if they had known how hard it was going to be, I don't know that they would have done it. But because they didn't start with a life science bias, but an engineering bias, they actually solved the problem.
And they succeeded. That's a good. And what is the other one?
The other one is called Emovi, which is a company in Montreal which has a spectacular diagnostic for osteoarthritis of the knee, which afflicts tens of millions of people. But for today, there is no objective analysis or analytic tool to really determine what treatment people should have for that disease. And there's no, in fact, it's to the point now that pharmaceutical companies don't even know how to measure mobility of the knee in such a way as to even create new drugs to help treat the disease. So this is a disruptive technology in the sense that it's going to change the practice of medicine and certainly in terms of knee diseases, and I think it's got great promise for other joints as well.
I see. So you're truly investing in making the world a better place.
Yes, I think certainly with knees, it's the biggest joint in your body, and if your knees don't work, you don't go very far. And with eSight, this is the first time. I mean, the thing that made our investors so excited about it was to see someone put on the eyewear that we put on to see, and for the first time in their lives they're seeing their kids' faces.
Yes, that must be something.
You know, it's pretty extraordinary, and there's a lot of tears involved, so it's very emotionally moving, and to be able to work in the life science is really a gift, but to actually see something where you can change people's lives in minutes is extraordinary.
So you're lucky man. Will you have a closing word for us?
Yes, I think that in terms of pulling together, the key thing about all of these is that we're looking at investments that involve Canadian companies, but supported by cross-border in terms of Ontario, Quebec Angels, but also with Angels from New England, who bring a different skill set, different experience base, and we're looking forward to working with our colleagues because they also have access to transactions and technologies that we don't always see.
Thank you very much, Bill.